Hi everyone, I'm back, and with this video I'm actually going to talking to you about various design elements that are in Soutache in the different pieces. But first I want to show you what I've been doing for the last couple of days. I've been teaching myself to tat, which is basically lace making. This is just made out of crochet cotton. And then today a friend challenged me to be able to make, she wanted something done in gold wire. Not probably going to happen, but what I do have is just the artistic wire, and if I can get it to focus, that's what I made. Cute. So that's gold artistic wire with a pink crystal and some seed beads. Not very even, but not too bad. Anyway, sorry about going off on a tangent then. But so today I'm going to be talking about, as I said, design elements. This is a pair of earrings made by Jadwiga Bentley. I love her work. And if you look at these closely, I'm not making these, but there are like different components inside each one, and in each component there are also like design elements. So if you have your focal in the middle, and then I've been giving them names because I like to name things, and why not? And then it comes down into here and into two half circles. It's one on each side coming up around, or two accent half circles because it's got accent beads in them, and then up to an accent curve or accent curl at the top. See if I get a little bit closer. The accent curl here, and then it goes into an accent tuck curl, which means that it curls around and tucks underneath. Same here, it's a focal, and this has got actually an accent circle. It goes all the way around in one continuous piece. Okay, another focal down the bottom here. And I really don't know if these things have proper names, but I call this, it's got the accent tuck curls on each end, but I like to call this a bow. This one is even more a bow than normal, but it sort of reminds me of, you know, like the bow and arrow, so that's why I call that a bow. So it's just, for me it's easier. I can say to myself, okay, I'm going to do an accent half circle, a half accent circle, or an accent circle, or whatever. Okay, so they're just names I've chosen. Okay, now last set of videos I did 6 pieces. Okay, and I haven't done any more on them because I wanted to show you how to do the next step in all of these pieces. Okay, so this one sounds easier than it actually is in a way. What I'm going to be doing is sewing all these together and making it into a straight piece so that it joins up and it's straight. Okay, eventually it's going to look at something like that. Okay, this is a straight piece here. Well, relatively straight for me anyway. And then we go into creating this separate component, which I will show you how to do. But right now, this is the piece we're going to be concentrating on. So you've got your your focal all set up there. It's joined here. So now what we're going to do is start stitching from side to side. Don't take too big a stitch between it, but you've got to sort of wend your way up and try not to curve it. I've done this once before with that previous piece. Actually, I pulled it down and remade it, and it was more curved than straight. Okay, this is a little bit different because I have a cord in there, plaited cord, so I'm not sure how this is going to go, but as I said, we're all learning, aren't we? Okay, so little stitches up each side, because this is actually going to be seen, so try and keep them quite small. I like to try and turn the side that's I'm working on is facing me, so I can sort of see what I'm doing. And then just make sure that you're going through the centre of all of these, because you don't want any of your colours, so not in the centre, or any of your threads or whatever you want to call them, to disappear. Make sure it's coming out the centre here, which it is. Try not to get the little tentacles all hooked up in here. With this one I probably could have taped all of them together, but it's too late now. I've already started, so I'm not going to bother. But remember, in the future, if you want to, you can tape all your little tentacles together. That's my thread there. It's a little, and just at an angle. Not sure how much you can see. I'm sort of going, I suppose it's nearly a 45, not quite a 45-degree angle. You can see where I'm coming out here. And you just want to go that way and try, when sort of hold it between your fingers to keep it nice and square, nice and flat, and try and keep it as straight as you can. When I did this the first time, it actually curved, and which is actually something you can do in other design elements, but not in this particular one that I'm showing you today. We may do that later. I don't think it's very hard to do personally. You just sort of just do it, and it just ends up all wobbly and curving around. What I'm going to try and do over the next video, or 2 videos, depending on how long it takes me to show you what I want to show you for this one. It'll probably take a few because there's quite a few. As I said, I've got 6 projects, and each project has different parts in it, different elements in it that I want to show you. So it'll probably take 2 or 3 videos, otherwise it's going to be like a 6-hour video. I don't think you'd be that impressed with me if I did that to you. Okay, so we need to work all the way up. Okay, keep it straight. That's pretty straight so far. This is very difficult to do because I'm actually working sort of backwards, so I can show you guys, I hope, how to do them, which means that I'm not probably doing it very neatly. Sorry, I keep putting my fingers and everything in the way, I'm sure. There we go. See, and if you want to make it curve, all you have to do is basically pull it the way you want it to do. So then you would start stitching like that, and that would make it curve. Okay, if you want it to curve the other way, then you do the same sort of thing. Just pull it around like that. But since we want it to go straight, we won't do that, will we? Of course we won't. and just continue until you get to the length that you need for this project, which I'm going to use this as my guide because it's going to be virtually the same size. So that's where I need to stop. I'll go a little bit further just to allow for, maybe I might use more in here, you know, bigger beads or something like that. So now you've got to sort of adjust the sizes. I mean, this is 4mm and 14mm. If I was to use a 6mm or an 8mm here, in this part here, then obviously that's going to change how much length I'm going to be using on here. So sort of look at what the accents are that you're going to be using, how many threads, braids you're going to be using, whether you're going to be using cord like this, and sort of that works out how long your straight stitch, which is what I call this, will be. Okay, but because I know that mine's going to be the same size virtually, I'm going to be stopping right about here as soon as I've got this last one done. And that is that. So that's what I call a straight stitch. I don't know if someone knows if there's actually some terminology out there, let me know, because I'd be very interested to find out. I've searched and I can't find it anywhere. You can tie this off now because it's not for your next component. It's going to be a separate piece. So this is basically one component, then you have another component, and then possibly another, etc., etc. So just tie this off and however you want, because it's not going to be seen by anybody except for you. So just take a couple of stitches. That's about all I do. On the wrong side is probably the best. So work out which is your wrong side. Cut it off. And that's the first component for my first project complete. Okay, my second design element I'm going to show you is actually what I call a tuck curl. When I did this one last, I actually only did the pink in threes, and then I've later on gone and done the white. So it's got this 14mm pearl with pink and white, and then this is what I call a tuck curl. So it's come around and it's curled and gone around and then tucked underneath, and it's just sitting right underneath there. So all this will be trimmed off so it's not seen, and then once you put your backing on, it's never seen again. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the other one. I hope I can make it match the other one, actually. It'll be interesting. So I'm going to go across to... I'm just going to get across to the centre area here. If I can. And go through all 6 of these braids. If you need to do it in 2 passes, like if it's not, you don't think it's going to be very straight, then do 3 or 2 or 1 at a time. However you get there, it doesn't really matter. The point is to make sure that you sort of do it so that it looks pretty good. Okay, so this has to come around, and I'm going to do this in threes because I just find I can't work with that many. That's a lot of work for me. The only time I won't work that is to actually start. I want to sort of give this some stitches here to get them starting to curve around, if that makes sense. Like we did when we did the focal, you want it to start curving. So to do that, you need to actually start stitching little stitches on the outside, remember, and curve it the way that you want it to go. And that's probably the best way I can describe it. Okay, don't pull your thread too tight. Okay, and just continue going around and around. And eventually, hopefully, I'm sorry if I'm getting in my own way here. Eventually, it will hopefully turn into a nice little curve. That'll be like this one. This is the hardest part, I feel, is actually, you've done one, so now you have to get it so the next one is as close as you can get it, because otherwise, unless you're going for a completely asymmetrical look, it'll look odd if you want it to be symmetrical and it doesn't, if that makes sense. Okay, so just keep on going. If the camera angle is wrong, or seems different, I've actually moved out of my dining room and into my spare room, and I'm not sure if I've set the camera up properly. It just, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be the same angle. Okay, so as you can see, I've been stitching and it sort of started to curl itself around, which is why I'm calling it a curl, because it makes sense to me. And it's quite smooth. It's maybe not quite as, oh yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, so you just keep on curving. Don't try tucking it. It'll sort of, it's not really tucked at the moment, it's just under there, but you just want to do it slowly and gently rather than rushing it, because if you go too quickly trying to make this tuck, you'll just end up with a mess. I can tell you that because I have done it on numerous occasions. Okay, curve it a little bit more. I did do it with 6 this time. Last time I had to do it with 3 at a time. So I'm pretty impressed with myself actually. Okay, another stitch. And bring it out. Make sure you're always going through the centre of your braids, remember? Otherwise you'll lose your threads, your braids, and it'll look awful. I actually work a lot on the back of my work. I don't know why. I'm always checking, but I seem to work on the back for no good reason that I can think of, other than it's something I've always, ever since I started teaching myself this, it's what I've done. So you'll have to excuse me if I've tried to be very good and teach from the front for you guys, but I'm obviously reverting. Okay, so pull that one through. Oops. And I've got a knot, of course. Okay. Now from the front, you can see I want it to sort of curl. This is as high as I want it to be here. Just there. So this has to tuck more. Okay. And if you can see on the back, it's actually tucked quite tightly and sitting under the purl. So that's what you want to do with this one. So start swinging it around as much as you can. And it's going to get a bit bulky and ordinary looking at the back, but hopefully it will also make everything sit the same at both sides. If I can ever get this needle to go back through. Okay, I'm going to straighten it out a little bit. Through. I want to get back to the outside. So I'm not actually going to be doing very much other than going back almost to where I was before. Sorry. My problem also is that I've got the sticky tape that's on this one here, so I'm going to have to try and remove that a little bit to save me from going through my needle through this, because it'll just make my needle really sticky. There we go. Popped right off. I already had the other two off, I didn't realise I missed one. Okay, so now I'm back on the outside. And I want to tuck these right in there. Like that. Nice and tight, see? And then it sort of looks very similar on the front. So let me just stitch this. So hold it there, nice and tight. As flat as you can. Okay. It's never going to be completely flat because that's the whole object of this, is actually is the three-dimensional piece. So go back through. This is why I like to work on the back. Just go through, and wherever you come out is wherever you come out, basically. There we go. Keeping it nice and curled, and go back through wherever you are now and back through the outside. Now just remember, if you turn it over and it looks awful, you just unthread your needle and do it again. Okay, you can adjust it a little bit, make that fall a bit better. I've cut a bit short on my pink, I think. That's not looking too bad. Okay, I'll work from this side for a little while. And what you're trying to do is actually work it in so that it makes a nice little curl, and it has a smooth outside part, or even the inside is, it's good if you can get that nice and smooth. Not happening with this side as well as it did with my first, which is so typical really, isn't it? But that's what you're doing basically, and then just continue stitching until it's reasonably secure this way. Oops. Okay. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay. It's alright. Now we're going to go through the centre of this piece here and come out here. Okay, what you want to do is go through there, and when you come out here, make sure that you're between braids. You know, don't sort of come up in between, in the centre of one of your braids. And this will help attach the whole thing. Hopefully a bit more. Okay, we're going to go out. I sort of work my way out. From the back, I don't care what my stitches look like, but if I can come out, move it up a bit each time, come in between my braids, pull it reasonably tight, and then go back through the same gap. And move on a bit at the back. Oops, sorry. Move on a bit at the back, just take a step over. Oops, missed it. So come over this way a bit. You see? What you're trying to do, there we go. Come up between another two braids, and you're attaching this part here to your main component. Okay. And then do the same again. There. I'm going to try and come out between, there we go, two braids, pull it through, and then go back. And it's pretty secure, actually. It doesn't, I mean, it moves that way, but that's alright because there's more work going to be going on here anyway. This is only the start. There's a lot more stuff that's happening. They're not perfectly perfect. This one's a little bit skewed, but hey, it's not too bad, hey. Okay, now once again, my thread's getting very short in this one anyway. You can do a couple more stitches just to make sure that everything's nice and tight, and then tie it off, and yeah. Once we've done that, I'll come back a bit later and we'll do adding the next component to this piece. So this is going to one side.